Welcome to week 10/11 of the podcast, Like You Didn't Know. So last week, a lot went on. I was tired, and then the power went out for 2 days. So I was going to originally record on Thursday like I normally do, and I just didn't feel like it on Thursday. So Friday comes around, I'm at work, and then next thing I know, the trees are blowing down, power's out. Needless to say, I wasn't trying to run down my phone battery just in case I needed it, because I had to use it for light, and I didn't know how many days it was going to take for the power to come back. So yeah, here we are. This week's scary movie of the week is called We Have a Ghost, and it's newish. I think it came out about maybe 2-3 weeks ago on Netflix. But it is basically about this black family who moved into this old rundown house, and the reason is because the dad is not very good at really managing anything in his life. He's one of those get rich quick kind of people, so he tries new things, doesn't work, so he moves on to something else. So I guess his family was kind of pretty much out of money, so they kind of bought this really fixer-upper, and so they move in and they end up having a ghost. And they, without telling too much of the movie, they end up kind of profiting off of it. But the real mystery is, like, why the ghost is still around and what actually happened to him. For some reason, he can't talk. So they kind of have to try to figure out the mystery behind his death, which actually turned out to be interesting. There was a lot of dead ends just because, he couldn't talk and he couldn't remember things. So it was interesting. I liked it. It was a cute little movie. Definitely recommend. And it's kid friendly. It's a ghost, but it's like a friendly ghost, about like Casper. This week's Bizarre Ways to Die is a man who sued a dry cleaning company for, his bill would have been $10, but he ended up suing them for $67 million in a civil lawsuit. This happened in May 2005. The guy, Roy Peterson, he was getting his clothes dry cleaned so that he could start a new job as an administrative judge. So very professional, gotta look nice type of job. So apparently he was getting a pair of pants altered at the dry cleaners, and they lost them. So he's decided to sue them for $1,500, $1,150 for an entire suit rather than just the pants, which I'm sure the pants probably only cost like $100 or so. Maybe more. I don't know. I really don't mind men's clothes. But the owners of the dry cleaner first offered him $3,000, which was triple the price of what he was asking. Then $4,600, and then $12,000 for the missing suit, but he refused. So 2 years later, he decided he was going to sue them for $67 million, which was emotional damage, legal fees, and 10 years of car rental fees so that he could frequent another dry cleaner. And then he also sued them for they were $395 pants. Of course he lost because they already offered to pay you. Instead of being greedy, you should have just accepted what they were going to give you. If you've paid almost $400 for literally just one pair of pants, if someone offers me $3,000, definitely going to take it. And if they can afford to do it, they went up to $12,000. He definitely should have took that. I don't know why he thought that he would ever get $67 million. You know how much oftentimes dry cleaners probably lose people's clothes? Like, I'm pretty sure they have insurance for that very reason. Like, hopefully he learned his lesson and isn't trying to scam, because that's basically sounds like what he was trying to do. Scam them out of way more money than he needed because, I guess, I don't know if he got to start the job. I feel like you don't have to have a $400 pair of pants to start a job as a judge, especially if you're an administrative judge. I assume you're probably sitting behind a desk or whatever, so no one's going to see you, or no one's going to see what you're wearing anyway, because you'll probably be in a robe. But like I say, he lost, and he deserved to lose, and hopefully that dry cleaner banned him for life. So this next bizarre way to die intrigued me, so I actually did a little research. But apparently in 1982, a French undertaker died when a pile of coffins in his workshop fell on top of him. He ended up actually being buried in one of the ones that fell on him, which kind of sucks. I mean, I would want a brand new coffin, not the one that murdered me. But I think it goes to show, be careful when you're stacking stuff in your house. I know a lot of us stack stuff precariously. Like I have boxes of shoes stacked in my closet. You just need to, and they've fallen on me in many occasions. I'm ducking and dodging, trying not to get hit in the head. But especially if you're stacking stuff that could kill you, probably best to, I don't know how he had them stacked, but it probably wasn't up to code. Because if they could just fall over that easily, that means nothing was holding them up there other than sheer luck, basically. But yeah, just be careful when you're stacking things to a height, especially when they're heavy and could kill you. For this week's main topic is I may be not developing story anymore, but it just literally just happened. Like, it came to a culmination on the 7th. Some Americans went to Mexico, and were abducted, and 2 of them died, and 2 of them were able to make it back home after a violent shootout, I guess maybe with American soldiers or something. But the Americans, they're back on U.S. soil now. And the reason that they went to Mexico was because one of them, they were 4 friends. One of them wanted to go get a tummy tuck from a Mexican doctor. And so they all decided to leave. It says Carolina, so maybe like North, South Carolina. They all decided to leave and go to Mexico. I guess when they got there, they were abducted and were in a wooden shack and guarded by somebody. They had been moved around to create confusion. I guess in the midst of all that, 2 of them ended up being killed. If they were trying to keep them for ransom, or maybe they fought and that's why they got killed. It doesn't really say. But, one of them had been wounded and he was shot in the left leg. But the FBI got involved and they found him and brought them, half of them back home. So it sounds like they were caught in a fight between rival cartel groups. If she was going to, he or she, I assume it was a woman, but if they were going to a doctor, get it, they don't have escorts or something. We all know that the cartel is in Mexico. And I've been to Mexico several times. And I even went, off the resort. And I never had a problem. It was a group of us. We didn't get abducted. Nothing crazy happened. We didn't go. And we made sure that whoever was driving us knew where we were going. They knew we were Americans, of course. And so they made sure we just went downtown to, their little kind of club area. And then we went back home. Or back to the resort. It amazes me that people will still take unnecessary risks. If you want to get a tummy tuck, there are safer, better ways to do it. I know it was probably cheaper in Mexico, but even not only that, you've heard the horror stories of people having botched surgeries or not recovering because stuff gets done incorrectly or left inside them or just whatever. Especially when it comes to surgeries and stuff, cheaper is not necessarily always better. And for me, I would not, there's some things I'm just not going to go. Well, really, I'm not going to a foreign country for anything other than vacation. But if you are thinking about going to a country to get a surgery, you probably should go to one that's more, upstanding, pretty much. I've never been to a Mexican doctor. Don't think I'd ever want to, but I can only imagine that the reason that they were going was because it was cheap. And look now, I don't know if the person who was going to get the surgery got killed or whatever. It really doesn't matter because 2 of their friends, either way, got killed because they were probably on vacation, trying to live it up, trying to have fun, and things just went sideways. like, you have to be, especially when you're going to foreign countries, you have to be very aware of your environment. And especially if you don't speak the language, because I would bet money that none of them spoke Spanish, at least not fluent Spanish. So, I mean, they probably didn't even know what was going on. People could have been yelling and screaming at them to get out the way, tell them you on the wrong side of town, and they never would have even known because they probably didn't speak the language. But yeah, I've traveled to several foreign countries. I know other people that have too. But it's just be aware of your surroundings. Really, the U.S. government will tell you it's best if you just stay on the resort. Like, especially if you're not familiar with that country and don't know anybody there. Like, I know some people go and visit family. Totally different when you know somebody that lives there. But if you're just a tourist, like you go to Mexico once a year or whatever, you probably just need to keep your ass on the resort. And if you do go to like your little excursions or whatever, of course you go with your guide. They know exactly where you're going. You know exactly where you're going. If something happens to you and you go missing, they can find you because they know where you should have been. But as with anything, just keep your wits about you. Obviously, if you see people with guns looking angry, you probably need to move. And of course, we've all seen it where they think that kidnapping Americans are going to get loads and loads of money or use them for probably, especially if it was the cartel, they're probably going to use them for like bargaining or something, with the U.S. government. But obviously it didn't work and two of the people ended up being killed. And it sounds like the Mexican government got involved enough to be able to just turn the other two over to America, without it being too much trouble. And apparently, I guess the cartel kind of wanted to wash their hands of it anyway. But it's sad, and hopefully, I'm sure it's very traumatizing because I'm sure they were not kept in the greatest of conditions. But hopefully, the two that did survive can recover mentally and physically, and move past it and forgive each other for making, especially the person who wanted to go to get his or her tummy tuck. Hopefully that they've forgiven them and can move past it and get on with their life. But yeah, that's the episode for this week. Hope you enjoyed. You can listen to my episodes on my podcast on Spotify or Anchor. I usually try to do it every week, as you have probably noticed. I may not always do it every week because sometimes I just be tired and don't feel like talking. But anyway, talk to you guys next week.